And now we're delighted to welcome to the programme Virgé Connery, who's Clinical Director with Behaviour Detectives. So thanks very much for coming on the programme, Virgé.
Hi John, hi Patrick, hi Adam, how are you? Thank you for having me. It's my first interview this year and I'm delighted to be the first person you have in the studio as well.
Very good,
Thank you.
It's an intriguing kind of name. Where did the name come from, Behaviour Detectives?
Oh, Behaviour Detectives. This is something that I had in my mind probably for a while. Behaviour Detectives was established in 2017, but I worked as a private practitioner before that. And with behaviours, it's they're never straightforward. You need to figure out what's going on. You need to figure out the reasons why something is happening, why people are behaving in a certain way. And you kind of become a detective. Right. So it had been in my head for a while, and when it was time to kind of set it up as a company, because it was my own caseload was getting too big, too big to manage for one person, so it just was it was there. So that's kind of
right. So it was obviously you felt there was a need for something like this.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely, and with the name as well, it's just so appropriate in a sense that people have behavioural difficulties. There's a lot of people with behavioural difficulties, not even difficulties, like it's not the behaviours of concern or this terminology. It's also about adaptive skills, learning things, self-management, independent living skills. That is all behaviours that people engage in. So there's a lot of things that people don't even understand what is covered by behavioural psychology and behaviour analysis. It always, first thing that pops into everybody's head is maybe aggression or challenging behaviours, but that is only one part of it. There is so much. We behave every day, or maybe we don't sometimes. Right. So
it's mainly with autism you deal with, yeah? Yes.
A lot of our young people would have diagnosis of autism, but it's not. It's like the diagnosis of autism is not. It's not a necessity. It's anybody who is looking to kind of change their behaviour to learn a new skill. Because one of the biggest things I always say is people say, "Oh, are you trying to change somebody, or are you trying to make somebody less autistic?" No, it's not. If you're teaching somebody a new skill, that doesn't change who they are. Like, my first language is not English. I learned another language. I learned to drive. I failed 3 times, but I learned to drive. Right. So all these new skills I've learned. So if we give people tools to learn something new, they still who they are. You're still Patrick. You still, so it doesn't change.
Yeah, because you use the word spectrum to describe the range of autism. Yeah?
Yes.
So what kind is it? A very broad range of behaviours? Yeah?
Oh, absolutely. It's really, really broad. Well, everybody has their own struggles or difficulties, and then it's the interacting with the world outside, and it might not necessarily fit how they see the world. But some people are able to express themselves and use language. Some people are non-verbal communicators, and the fact that somebody can use their words doesn't mean that they struggle any less. There is a lot of things come with that might be perceived as fully able and not needing any supports, whereas the world is really challenging for them. So anxiety, self-doubt, isolation, sensory difficulties, everything like that comes into play. I have young people who literally are afraid to leave the house, or they are even don't want anybody coming into their house, and they're finding that challenging. Yeah. So I always tell, like this particular young man, he was saying, our last chat we had, I was like, I'm actually delighted now. If I was living by myself, I would actually tolerate somebody to fix my radiator instead of putting on 20 jumpers. That's, you would want somebody, you would want to allow somebody in your house to fix your heating, but because your level of afraid of interaction is so high, you'd rather put on 20 jumpers than have somebody in your house.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Do you know if anybody ever looked at the start how some children get autism and some children don't?
Yeah, absolutely. I was lecturing with UCC for, gosh, I can't remember how many years, over 5-6 years, and I would have delivered the UCC Autism Studies course. I think it still runs in Cork. We used to deliver it across the country in Kilkenny and different counties, but now it's still in Cork and it's online as well. But we would have gone into etiology of autism. There isn't, and at the end of the module, origin of autism. And what we wanted people to write in their assignment, there is not one cause that can explain the origin of autism. Yeah. And there is so many variables that come in. They look into genetics, they look into biology, they're looking into environment, there is so many variables, but there isn't a clear answer, and I think that makes it really hard for people. They're going down kind of not the pathways they should be going, because not knowing is really, but it's the same time some other conditions. Why did I develop certain heart condition? People say, oh, why, how did I get lung cancer? I don't even smoke, so it's not that untypical with any other conditions as well.
So it's luck.
Luck, yeah. It's just whatever way you put it, but there isn't preventative measures. I don't think there is. I definitely haven't come across in my lifestyle, but it is more if somebody's born, whatever kind of little bit of challenges they might have, is more actually how do you support that person, or do you think, is it important, simple things, if I'm thinking somebody who is little sensitivities, is there a fact that, you don't like the sand, but all the family wants to go to the beach? Is it then that the child what is going on with the child who doesn't want to go to the beach? Is it that the sand on their feet? Is that something they can overcome in a nice, gentle way? Can you put a few sand crumbs on the blanket and they get more used to it? So people, by the time they become an adult, they actually can go for a walk on the beach. So it's a simple things when you see, I always say people as well, is the diagnosis the most important thing? Yes, it is, but at the same time, there isn't. I have a lot of young people coming and say, I wish I was never diagnosed. I was doing fine. And now, at the same time, there's a lot of people who come and say, oh my God, the best thing ever. So it's such a kind of intense topic, and there is so many different opinions around that. But it is, if somebody's not happy with something, then we should try to work on it. That's the way.
So would the tendency have been to look on it as problematic behaviour, antisocial behaviour and all that, up to fairly recent times, It
can be, but if the person is struggling, and, all behaviour is communication, and that's what I love about behaviour analysis and behavioural psychology. You have to look at the underlying causes. You have to see what is going on. If, a simple example, why is somebody shouting and somebody is really loud, is, let's say, a child is at home and daddy's working at the laptop and he goes, Daddy, nobody hears him, goes again, Daddy, and then there goes louder and louder, and by the time the child is shouting, the parent or daddy goes, are you okay? And then why are they shouting? Because the lower level behaviours were not acknowledged. Right. So you've shaped up unintentionally, this person maybe wanted to get something and their needs weren't met, and now you're asking why they're shouting, because their normal communication was not being acknowledged. So all behaviours, all problem behaviours are kind of a product of something over time accidentally. Parents always want their best, they are trying to make their lives as manageable as possible, and they don't even realise what's going on. It's here now approach, because if you have another child who's crying, or you have an elderly parent to support, life has demands. Nobody has the luxury of having one child and being focused. That's just not reality. So it's shaped up, and by the time the child is 15, 14, or maybe a young adult, these behaviours are much more developed, and the parents I don't know how it happened. I can't say no to them anymore. Yeah, but you haven't been able to say no, but you didn't realise that before because they were very little. And everybody, same rules apply. You have to be able to accept no. You can't take other people's things. It doesn't matter what you have. Nobody can argue with that. You can have whatever condition. There isn't, no judge will say, oh, sure, yeah, of course, go, take it,
So is it usually children? Do you start dealing with people at the childhood level, or do you sometimes deal with older, like say teenagers or young adults and so on. Yeah.
So the behaviour analysis, behavioural psychology has its roots on kind of in working with children. We are really lucky in Behaviour Detectives. We work with a lot of adults, so it's really nice to actually, because the adults obviously they come to you. They're looking for help. They're looking for support. So I mean, we are really in a privileged position to work with both. So it's nice to see the children and then having the young adults who are in their 20s, you know, the struggles that they have. It's kind of nearly like, it's like a jump to the future that we see, oh, I can imagine him or her when they were smaller, they would have really benefited from such and such a thing. So it wouldn't be as hard for them, because you always want, like, it's never too late. You know, you can learn a new language, you can start painting, you know, you can always.
So the interventions may not have been there.
Yeah, but they weren't needing it at that time. Yeah. Or it wasn't like, who decides what's correct and what's not correct? Cool. You know, it's not up to me saying, oh, I don't like you doing this. Like, if it doesn't interfere with daily life or anything, like, then I don't have the authority, or nobody does, to say, oh, you shouldn't be doing this. You know, like people, it's kind of, especially with adults now, it's kind of something like, let's say they've been kind of really dependent on the parents all their life and never been able to take the bus, and then maybe the parent gets elderly and now they can't go for a walk anymore, and he's like, oh, but I wanted to go for a walk. Yeah. But they can't go for a walk because they've never gone out for a walk by themselves. You know, and that's the thinking of that is really significant, because they feel the need that, like, I'm not happy. What I've been told is that I am not happy sitting in my house by myself, but I can't do anything. Will you help me? Yeah. You know, but it's hard. It's really, really hard, because
it must be very frustrating for a child in that
or even a young
position.
Person. Yes, absolutely, and especially when, like, a lot of it happened with COVID as well. People kind of went backwards, you know, they kind of got used to staying. Even I'm talking to people, they were like, oh yeah, I was able to do this, and they might have gone to college and something happened and they got really isolated. And then trying to get back out is like, sometimes the goals are really simple. Just go out and say hello back to somebody who's saying hello to you. Because like that young man is looking to get a job. And I was saying, look, if you want to get a job, you should be able to say hello if somebody says hello to you. They might find that hard. So, but I'm setting up a simple task. If somebody says hello to you, just say hello back. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking you to initiate anything. Do you think you can do this? And he's like, yeah, I can. So he comes into me weekly and says how many hellos he's had. You know, but that's he's stepping. Yeah. I'm not asking him to go too far out of comfort zone. Yeah. People don't realise that there is so many steps. Social skills. What are social skills? That's just a weird word. Like what is it? Like, let's see what you actually need to work on. So there's a lot there.
Yeah. So do you work with schools? You know, when a child is going to school, he might, or he or she might have certain problems, you know, so interacting with the other.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. We work with different, like at the moment, since my professional career started out as kind of freelance, self-employed behavioural analyst. I always worked on contracts with the HSC, and since 2017, all our referrals are either from HSC and TUSLA. So we were working with kids across settings. So if there's a problem somewhere, it normally has an impact. Child doesn't go to school, then it has a knock-on effect straight away in the home environment, because nearly, like, if my kids were home all day, I wouldn't be too happy, you know, we're like entertaining them, so they need to be going somewhere. Yeah. So we have to work with schools to make sure that the parents are able to care for the children who are coming home. It's all environments. You can't isolate a setting, you know, if they're having problem going. Some kids go to respite services, you know, if you don't go respite or they're refusing it for some reason, then we can't just push a child there. We need to figure out why they don't want to go, what's going on there. Yeah. And especially working with kids with TUSLA, they will be even more vulnerable, you know, so it will be the residential settings. So there's a lot of, there is a lot of input that is needed for young people and kids.
And then you're also presuming that the parents have the ability to break that down for the child.
Absolutely.
A lot of parents don't have that ability.
Parents don't have ability because they are overwhelmed and exhausted. If somebody doesn't sleep, expectations on parents are sometimes unrealistic. They'll try their best. They try their best, but they just might not be able. And then the other thing as well, people forget that parenting a child with additional needs is not the same as parenting your typical child. It's a very different type of parenting. And people struggle with that. People struggle, why can't I do this? Because I went to college for 6 years and I learned it, you are a parent. So it's not going to be the same that Mary and Johnny were brought up easily and then the last one, whoever is, they're struggling. And they feel overwhelmed. They feel that they're not doing well, they've failed as parents, and that giving parents that confidence and the skills. I love working with parents. I love doing parent workshops, training events, because it's really empowers them. It's like your kids are at home 24/7. You're never going to have therapists or somebody following you all the time and helping you.
Of course.
So you need the skills. If a child comes home and upset, what do you do then? All these incidental teaching moments. So with with training courses, it's exactly what we're trying to do. Because we developed a training course last 2023, and especially we did not call it parenting course. They know how to parent. Yeah. The parenting is not the issue. So we called it positive behaviour skills training, introduction to skills training. And we put all these skills that we would learn in our master's degrees and undergrads together to deliver that to parents. It was for parents, and the same course can be delivered to professionals because it's skills. It's nothing to do with parenting. Yeah. And I think moving away from that is helpful and reassuring for parents that you're an amazing parent, just not a psychologist. So,
adult transition, that must be a very delicate stage when somebody's moving into the adult stage of their lives. So,
absolutely. Transitions are always tricky. I was lucky. I worked with Open Training College for a while as well, and we were like a lot of focus was on social care students on supporting people with transitions. It's like, and I think the best way is transitions is you're nearly looking at the road and you want to get across the road, not stopping in the middle. So, but that zebra crossing might look really, really long when you feel that you're in the kind of limbo and not sure what's happening. But again, it's a process. You have to go through it. You can't come from A to be. And in modern days as well, like, if you're thinking, it was really clear, child, teenager, adult, get married, get a job. It doesn't work like that anymore. We have a completely distinct phase that is emerging adulthood. You're an adult, don't want all the responsibilities, hope to live at home. It's not even hope to, you might not even have an opportunity because there is no opportunities. It's much more trickier. So it is, and then everybody demanding from you being adult, and then at the same time, parents still treating you like a child, especially with people with additional needs. The parents are, yes, you're adult now, but you're still a little child. To me, it's even harder to separate that. Even my mom still treats me like I'm a child. It's every time I go home, it's like, come on, I've been living my life by myself for the last 20 years, I'm fine. So
how many people work in the organisation?
So we have full-time and part-time staff. So I think it's about between 15 and 20. So we have a lovely, lovely team. It's the first year as well. We've taken on first year students who are on Trinity Masters course, and typically we would only have the second year students because they would be more experienced. But this year we kind of took a gamble and thought that can we actually grow our own, start them kind of fresh from their first year, because they all would have undergrad degrees already. So that's working out well.
That's brilliant.
So, and it also gives people, like career in psychology is a tricky thing. Becoming a psychologist, even behavioural psychologist, that was only actually fully acknowledged as a category this year. You can be a chartered behavioural psychologist, but the pathway is tricky. Any other job, you finish your undergrad, you finish your master's, you get a job. Psychology, you still have nothing. So it's building the pathways for people to get jobs, because that was part of the rationale why I founded Behaviour Detectives, because I know how hard it was for me. I went for numerous interviews, I was overqualified for everything, but I still couldn't get a job, a full-time job. I had part-time jobs and contracts, and then I just took the leap and went for it, because I didn't want to have a long waiting list of clients. Instead, I wanted to make sure that the people are being seen and they get a quality service and support. So, and it kept growing since then. It was only 4 or 5 of us now we're nearly 20, and it keeps growing. And we, our goal is really to make sure that people get quality service. I'm never going to drop my standards. I'm keeping my guard really close, because as a clinical director, governance, oversight is everything, and your reputation is everything.
Right. So in how many areas do you operate then?
We are at the moment our head office is in Kilkenny and Kildare and Dublin. So anything between, from that side.
So you have a couple of centres besides the main one.
We work, we have an office in Kilkenny, we have an office in Naas, and I think we're opening one in Dublin as well. But a lot of our work is done in people's homes, because we go to them. It's their environment that they really, or we go to the school.
Because they're comfortable in
that's what they are, we're trying to get them out, but sometimes people saying, oh, come and I give an appointment at 2:00 on Wednesday, that might be too much for them. That's already, so I'm sending 3 letters and then discharge them because it didn't show up. That is not getting at the bottom of what is really going on for them. We do a lot of sessions at home with kids that would give the parents a break, but also gives an opportunity to model of how we actually do, because you never know, the incident or whatever difficulty might not happen at particular time. So if you're there for a couple of hours, you're more likely to see something that the parents might need support with.
Right.
So
what about funding? How are you funded?
All our referrals are from HSC and Tusla. All our funding is government funding. I don't like, and I never liked it, to take private referrals, and I'm having people looking for private referrals kind of coming up, but what am I meant to be doing? What am I meant to be doing? If you don't take me, where do I go? I think there is numerous private operators who do that. So there is private there, but I do believe, and maybe that's my own belief system, that the services should be made available to parents in one way or the other. Is it through training that HSC asked us to put that training course together for a group of parents? So we delivered that over 120 parents, and it was really, really positive. So HSC is continuously working as well of trying to reach people. Trying to reach families. I know everybody's giving out about long waiting lists, but working with individual managers in HSC, I know how hard they work. I'm getting emails 10:00. If there is crisis situation, they're all up. They all it's their hands are tied as well.
Right.
So, and we're really privileged to work with so many lovely managers across kind of different areas. But definitely, they do try.
So the workshops, do you operate those yourselves, yeah?
Yes. So the workshops, that's only something that we did it was nearly when the HSC approached us and asked, as a result of parents requesting for that, we developed that in 2023. It was nearly something I had thought about myself as my master's thesis, but it was never written. So I really enjoyed writing that. And then all my lecturing knowledge with UCC and Open Training College. So it came. So it's delivered across 4 weeks, an hour and a half CPD accreditation, but it can be delivered to I leave 2 hours to give more time for questions and answers. So we deliver it in a smallish groups, 12 people, 15, because it's not a lecture. It's not me talking at people. There is lecture there, but I'm really looking for kind of a conversation. So and we did all the I love stats and analysis. And the feedback is phenomenal in terms of we would rate the increase in behavioural knowledge. So we would give out questionnaire at the end in the start. It increases depending groups. It can be 30%, 40%, or so, which is clear as change. We're also looking at social validity, saying what people think of the course. It's again overwhelmingly they love the content. They think they can apply the intervention strategies themselves. All these type of questions, simple question: would you recommend this to others? Yes or no? I think it's 96 or 8%. You know, so it's kind of like I get really excited about data and numbers. I don't know if everyone else is, what I'm like, but because I can say we developed a great course, but having that before and after questionnaires and actually knowing that we've gotten something right is really empowering. And with all the feedback, we can make changes to it all the time as well. And now, because we're getting it's CPD accredited, we have to kind of have it really kind of bit more tighter. But no, it's definitely, I nearly felt that like everybody, we need a behaviour support course. So every psychologist in any office quickly writes one, you know, so everybody has something sitting in the drawers. Everybody's written one, they all good. But it's nice to have developed a sequence that is 4 workshops, 2 hours long, and we continuously improve that. And at least we know the standard is maintained and kept regardless who delivers it.
Right, I think we're kind of coming to the end.
Before you go.
Ahead, yeah.
If there's someone out there listening and would like to get in touch, how do they?
Get in touch with us. We on our website, so it is behaviourdetectives.ie, or the email address is hello@behaviourdetectives.ie.
So have you got anything else to add before we finish up?
No, I'm delighted to be here.
Great
I was just looking up your centre yesterday, that you're celebrating 30th birthday.
Yes, that's right.
I think it's such a lovely. I think Geraldine had a quick YouTube clip there explaining your setup. No, I think it's fantastic service that you offer. No, and I'm delighted for being invited to come here.
Yeah, because we try to work with all the other organisations like yourselves, try to coordinate our efforts. Yeah. So right, Virge, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.